Catch the latest news on our website tribune.net.ph and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID 19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS users and Google Play for Android users to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarcito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just click on the link in this video to join.
Good morning, everyone. This is The Straight Talk. We are your hosts. I'm Donna Policar.
I'm Manny Angeles.
Good morning. And it's been a few weeks since the President appointed the new Chief of the Philippine National Police in the person of General Debold Sinas.
But in today's episode, we won't have the top cop in our midst. Instead, we'll have his alter ego, newly appointed also. And we'd like to introduce to you, therefore, Police General Ildebrandi Usana.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Good morning, General.
Morning, ma'am. Morning, ma'am. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So, Sir Manny, would you like to fire the first question?
Yeah, I'd just like to ask our good friend, how are you dealing with the pandemic now? How's your family? And how's your new job?
Well, sir, insofar as my family is concerned, they are abroad. But together with me is my youngest. And of course, he just stayed home, especially since they are not actually required to get to the school. And good enough that he has been compliant with the minimum health standards. And I guess it is something that really works for us, for both of us, because as I work, he just stays home. And this is something that I look forward to as a parent, because that will not make me worry as well. And insofar as my work is concerned, I used to be with the Human Rights Affairs Office, but now I am speaking for and on behalf of the Chief PNP and the entire Philippine National Police. This, I guess, is something that is so exciting. Maybe because within 6 months, I'm going to retire as well, almost together with the Chief PNP.
While we were off air, General, you mentioned something about how you got your name. It's a curious question, actually. And would you like to share with our viewers how you got your name as a newly born before?
Sure. According to my father, when I was born, there was one Italian cardinal who visited our country. He actually was there in Cebu, and I saw his name. And true enough, it was then that I learned that my name was given by my father in reverence to that very popular Italian cardinal. His name was Cardinal Ildebrando. But because I was born that time, my name instead slightly was changed to Ildebrandi. And I was, of course, surprised that my name is connected with that Italian cardinal. But of course, it is an honor more than I deserve.
It's a unique name that is actually fit also for a unique position like yours. We just like to ask for a start, what are your expectations of your new position, having been in on the human rights side of things, now that you are PNP spokesman? Would you say medyo may pagkabalanse tayong gagawin dito?
Exactly, sir, because that really will create the balance so that we could also speak for and on behalf of the police institution as a human rights protector as well. This is something probably that may not have been communicated well And we hope with the Chief PNP at the helm, he would be able to also share what he has done thus far through our office. And in my capacity, therefore, as a spokesperson, he would be telling me what needs to be done to communicate to the public the things associated with the mission of the PNP, to include as well the, the upholding of the rule of law. And I hope that over the past weeks or so that we have been doing this, we have been able to communicate well with the public. And through the social media, we have been sharing a lot of things that the GPNP has been doing, bordering on protection of human rights.
Okay.
I think you have a lot of questions to ask.
About
Donna.
human rights. Okay. Sir, I used to cover the Philippine National Police back in 1990s. I didn't recall na may opisina pala ang PNP ng Human Rights Office. Kailan ba nagsimula tong Human Rights Office na ito sa PNP, sir? Could you walk us through dito sa opisina na to? And we know for a fact that PNP is oftenly accused na number one violator ng human rights, di ba? So, please tell us something about this Human Rights Office. Kailan ba to nagsimula? Anong mga ginagawa nito? How are you dealing with this mounting accusations ng human rights violations?
Well, the Human Rights Affairs Office actually was created in 2007. This creation of a unit dedicated to addressing human rights was an offshoot of the visit then of Philip Alston, the Special Rapporteur of the United Nations Human Rights Council, that had found some gaps and the things that are associated, of course, with certain human rights violations being committed at that time by a number of people from the security sector. And good enough that we responded well. Of course, you cannot find any unit around the world, so far as law enforcement institutions are concerned, dedicated to espousing, advocating, and really protecting human rights, except here in the Philippine National Police. Of course, the AFP has its own. They have the Human Rights Office that is supporting as well with the National Humanitarian Law. We know that the PNP, as a premier law enforcement institution, always has the issues regarding certain violations of human rights. But it is also this very institution that has been protecting the very interest of our people. We call this the greater good for the greater number of people. And we cannot compromise our mission to enforce the law. The coercive power of the state carried out through the law enforcement institution is such that in the vernacular, we're just performing our duties. Ginagawa lang po namin ang trabaho namin. Hindi po ito isang bagay that is personal. It is actually done on the basis of our commitment to serve and protect our people, regardless of the consequences of our action. Of course, we cannot please everyone. There are some critics of the government, some rights groups that are casting aspersion against the Philippine National Police, but we never are remiss in our mission. We just have to really perform our duties, and that is what makes us stronger than ever. We wouldn't want to be swayed by the accusations that really have to border as well on our own human rights. We also have our share of difficulties performing our duties, but we never let up in really carrying out these functions. Because after all, in as much as our mission is there, we just have to make sure that our people really are satisfied with what we are doing, over and above all the accusations that have to be proven as well in court.
Sir, how are you dealing with the Commission on Human Rights? Hindi ba, I'm sorry to say, hindi ba magiging display lang yung Human Rights Office ng PNP since sino ba yung ina-address or anong kaso ba yung mga ina-address ng tanggapan na yan?
Well, at the least, perhaps the Commission on Human Rights knows too well the fact that HRL itself becomes the show window of the Philippine National Police with regard to respect, protection, and promotion of human rights. There are imperfections, yes, and we cannot avoid this in any human endeavor. But as far as what the PNP has done, at the least we have been espousing this for all our police officers. Under no circumstances are they going to be deployed without learning what human rights is. All our courses, the training programs that we have been doing, have the elements of human rights. And I guess if you could ask anyone, maybe the entire population in our country, the best people that you could ask insofar as what human rights is are the police officers. But again, the nature of our work really suggests that these are the things that make our work really difficult because we have sworn duties to serve and protect the higher interests of our people, regardless of the consequences of our actions. And at the end of the day, we can even encourage all those who may have fallen victim of whatever infractions that may have been committed by our police officers without probably them knowing it to come to our offices. We have the internal affairs service dedicated to addressing their concerns. And insofar as what the HRO is doing, we can even extend our assistance. We actually are questioning as well some of the improprieties of our police officers. And we also establish the balance by issuing a lot of memoranda so that our police officers will be more aware than ever. We also have human rights officers, not only at Camp Crame, but also right there at the police stations and up. So that that balance will really have to be driven down to whoever are performing our duties directly with the people. And again, if you have to also look at the perspective of the people, I don't know if really there are critics of the government that have influenced the majority of our people. They actually have been appreciating what we are doing. Oh, by the way, it's not only because we are a law enforcement institution that we are only dedicated to performing this function. We have several other functions that are geared towards building police and community relations. These and all others have endeared us to the community that we serve.
On another front, General, we know very well that the centerpiece agenda of this administration is the war on drugs. Can you give us an update on what's happening now, considering that the previous timeline set by the president is 3 to 6 months, and now it's almost 4 years into his administration, and the people, of course, would like to know what is happening now on this war.
Well, without fear of contradiction, at no time in history that the government has been able to respond well in addressing this menace in our society. That's actually destroyed a lot of communities, a lot of families, a lot of individuals. And now that the president stepped in to address this problem, making use of its own resources, particularly the Philippine National Police, I guess we have been winning the war. We also can say that there are no more laboratories that you can find in our country producing the substance that would say these are being sold as illegal drugs, in particular shampoo. And we have had a number of high-value targets that were arrested. And we have been doing as well these efforts in target hardening so that our people on the ground wouldn't be pestered again by these illegal drugs. And of course, things have not been perfected yet. It's not over. And even the president himself said this would be a difficult task, a difficult war. But there is no let up. Our police officers have been there doing their level best. And we also have our share of deaths as well. This is not something that we are getting to a picnic and it is something that is so easily done. No, even the drug syndicates are so clever to get away their crime by way of doing something maybe better than what our law enforcement institutions have been doing. But the fact that the PNP, especially the PDEA, because they are the ones leading these efforts against drugs, both the PDEA and the PNP have been able to establish working relationship with other government agencies. So it's still a full of government approach. But we cannot do it all alone. We also have to engage the families, the communities, even the barangay officials to help us out, to stamp out this kind of menace that has been pestering our country for more than 40 decades, I guess.
Sir, we lost track dun sa numbers ng mga operations. Number of operations, number of persons arrested, killed, charged, dito sa mga kaso na related to drugs. Could you give us some statistics or update regarding this?
Well, I could not at this point share with you the exact number because, as I was saying, the PIDEA is the lead, but we have real numbers. This is the one responsible for consolidating all the data. It is open to public, and you can find there the empirical measurement of how we have been dealing illegal drugs for the longest time. But this is something that we can really be proud of. And as I was saying, this is what the government has been so proud that we have been able to make a big difference as compared to the previous years where illegal drugs has not been given that attention so seriously. We also have seen a number of police officers running after those colleagues of theirs that are involved in this kind of trade. And we wouldn't want, again, to even consider these people as maligning or destroying the very institution that they represent. So we are so serious. We hope that we have been able to make the people feel safer than ever. You can look around. You can even get to the different places where illegal drugs used to, be proliferated by the unscrupulous individuals. And we hope that by making a positive difference in the lives of our people, we really are gaining grounds. We feel that we can do this more than ever. Maybe a change of the administration does not really matter. It's more of making our people feel that the government really means business. We are so serious at putting an end to illegal drugs, regardless of the consequences of our efforts. Despite the deaths in our ranks, we still are so serious at getting rid of these illegal drugs that have been victimizing a lot of our people.
General, one problem that persists in this war against drugs is the involvement of alleged involvement of several policemen. We call them ninja cops, reselling whatever they have seized from these drug lords. No? So how are you dealing with this after that incident in, I think it's Pampanga? How are you dealing with this problem?
Well, that is one of the many stories that you could say the Philippine National Police Associates, no less than the leadership of the PNP that got affected in this particular problem that the government is faced with, no? That has faced this kind of accusation. And true enough, the government did not leave any stones unturned. We filed cases against the suspects. Of course, they also have their day in court, so to speak. They can even defend themselves. But in so far as the government is concerned, the evidence is so strong, we can pinpoint anyone's responsibility as regards the proliferation of these illegal drugs done by some in uniform. We call these ninja cops. And we will see to it that those that continue to destroy what we have built all these years would really be brought to justice, and we'll see to it that those that have been victimized will no longer be subject of this kind of operations handled by our police officers involved in anti-illegal drugs operations. By the way, our chief PNP is so serious at really putting a stop to illegal drugs because he wanted this as one of his marching orders. Number one, in fact, because he was saying, in as much as this is the national program of the president, we will also consider this as my marching order, the very first one. And when he was the regional director of NCR Police, he actually increased the number of those police operatives engaged in anti-legal drugs operations from 300 plus to about 3,400 police officers that have dedicated much of their time running after the high-value targets. And this resulted in a very substantial accomplishment coming from them. So it's good that we have been winning the war thus far. Of late, we were able to track down a number of syndicates that have their links from one place to another, and we ably addressed as well the other particular illegal drugs being sold, and this is marijuana. At no time in history, perhaps, that one 5-bus operation resulted in about 217 kilos confiscated marijuana from 2 or 3 suspects. So again, without the people knowing it, we really are working hard. It may not have ended that much in terms of the number of years being expected by the public that this will really end. But we are winning the war, and we hope that we'll be able to give substance to the promise of the president.
Okay, Don.
Alam mo, Sir Manny, di ba, bukod sa drugs, sir, ang isa pa na pinakamalaking problema ng PNP among its ranks ay yung involvement sa corruption. Sir,
Yeah, isa pa yan.
Isa pa yan. Anong ginagawa ngayon ng present leadership tungkol dito sa corruption in the men in uniform?
Well, ma'am, when the chief PNP assumed this post and delivered this first ever speech, there were 5 marching orders that he gave. I mentioned already the anti-illegal drugs campaign. The second was anti-illegal gambling campaign. And the third is terrorism. And the fourth is no-take policy. And one that is associated with no-take policy is corruption. Because the president really wanted to address corruption in our society, the chief PNP also wouldn't want that our police officers are involved in corrupt practices. So with that, there would be a policy of no-take from among illegal drugs operations. Second is also the illegal gambling. Lahat po ng mga illegal, sabi niya, anumang source yan, illegal gambling, illegal drugs, illegal logging, anything illegal, dapat po our police officers are not involved in. And it will be under no compunction on his part that justice will be served, and he will be dismissing all these personnel who will be involved in any iota of corruption that the police would discover. No? So we have the integrity monitoring and enforcement group that is dedicated to handling this. Perhaps even other institutions do not have this kind, but we have one, and this is part of the internal cleansing operations and program that we are espousing. And we hope that whatever it is that would pave the way for making our police officers really loyal to the service without asking for anything in return will eventually make our PNP more appreciated and more admired by the people that we have been serving all these years.
General, with the support being given by the President on the men in uniform, in fact, he has doubled the salary of policemen, and he's given all-out support against the war on drugs. Would you say that the morale of the PNP is very high at this point in the fight against drugs, against terrorism and all the other problems now in the country?
That's right, sir. In fact, the morale is so high that more than ever, there are positive notes coming from police officers who actually have been doing their level best and not recognized as well by the national government beforehand. But now that the president wanted to bring out the best in us, we have had a number of big accomplishments never achieved in the past as well. As regards the involvement still of a number of our police officers, if you could speak of statistics, they do not actually represent 1% of the total number of police officers in the country. We have about 221,000, and you can only speak of about 1 to 2,000 police personnel who were dismissed, arising from involvement in various crimes, various infractions of law. And the fact that we do not condone any of the acts being committed by these erring police officers, we really are asking anyone from the public to come out in the open and help the investigators file action against those men in uniform who commit violations of law. We assure everyone that the PNP has been quite better than before. Of course, in any kind of organization, there are really bad eggs, calawags, and all that. But the PNP has been, again, doing their level best to ensuring that we are compliant with the rules, we uphold the rule of law, we are here ready, willing, and able to serve and protect, despite the little imperfections that we have, the limited resources. But the assurance is there that the public would have their life more bearable because police officers are there.
Donna, you have a question?
Sir, isa rin sa mga problema na kinakaharap ng PNP ngayon, and itong issue ng red tagging. So, ano bang pwede ba nating i-angkla ito doon sa issue ng war against communism naman na ipinupurso rin ng ating gobyerno?
The palace, ma'am, the PNP, the AFP, the security sector as a whole already made mention that it was not the government that's doing the red tagging.
Okay.
It is the leadership of the communist organization, Joe Masison in particular. And you have seen this, you have watched this. A lot of people have known how the so-called left-leaning organizations really are doing the deceptive way of maybe telling the people and doing otherwise. But at the end of the day, because of our functions in law enforcement, we have to generate enough evidence to pinpoint the responsibility of those who may have committed wrongful acts against the very people that they claim to have been protecting. They may have had the time enough in Congress, but still, from the point of view of law enforcement, if there is no evidence making them responsible for any crime, then we cannot even consider them as belonging to the Reds. And then from there, we can even say that the moment we have obtained evidence, then they should not question as well the presumption of regularity on the performance of our police officers to ensure that once charges have been filed against them, they just have to answer these allegations in court, not casting aspersion against the government for making this as a way of red tagging them or running after them because they were being persecuted and all that. No, we're just doing this on the basis of evidence, and we just have to perhaps see ourselves in front of the court and maybe present the evidence against each other. So, of course, our police officers have been doing their best to get the pieces of evidence from the witnesses, from those people who claim to have had these experiences with the Reds, with those communist terrorists. And again, we give it to them. The moment we obtain these pieces of evidence that they were being raped, that they were made to believe that they actually are in this kind of legitimate organization, yet planning to overthrow the government, if they have seen that there are a lot of firearms around, then we can still obtain their statements and serve as basis for filing action against whoever represents this communist organization.
Okay, sir.
Corollary question, General. To what would you say now is, because we've been fighting this menace for about 50 years now, 5 decades, more than 5 decades of this underground movement, no? How would you say, where would you place the fight against terrorism now? I mean, these communist insurgents, have you weakened their base, or are they still coming on strong?
But before you answer that, sir, let's pause for a short break.
Viber is the free and secure way to connect with friends and family anywhere. Send messages and make phone and video calls for free. Download Viber now.
And now we're back. You are watching Straight Talk. I am Donna Policar.
Yeah, and I'm Manny Angeles.
And going back to your question, sir.
Yeah, before we took a break, we were talking about the communist insurgency and the length of time that it has been with us. Can you give us an update of the comparative strength now of the NPAs, and how are we dealing with this now, General?
Insofar as the data are concerned, more or less roughly 3,200 NPA members spread all over the country are the ones still fighting the government, taking up arms and all that.
So humina sila, huh?
Yes, sir. It dwindled actually from about 27,000 down to just about 3,000 plus. Of course, the military has already learned enough of the lessons coming from that more than 50-year armed conflict. We have had many of the programs that have been set, and we really perhaps realized that as far as this anti-insurgency campaign, military solution or any kind of solution provided for by the security sector is not the solution. That's the reason that Executive Order number 70 was signed by the President himself, adopting the whole of nation approach. It's an inclusive and sustainable program of the government to address the insurgency with the combined efforts of all the government agencies concerned. And in fact, because of the non-declaration of ceasefire coming from no less than the President himself this December, we are still encouraging members of the NPA to return to the fold of the law and make them feel that they are already part of nation building. They do not have to believe the deceptive approach of their leaders. They just have to come back because the government will be more than willing to provide them the services, the kind of approach that they were actually expecting from the government in the past. We will be providing them more than what they expect. Of course, it's not perfect, but still better than before. And they can even rest assured that the government is so serious at really making them feel that there is life now. We have been providing farm to market roads. There is now the increased number of programs that border on social justice. And then there is also a way of making them feel that we care about them. Again, what we hope to accomplish here is something that what the president wanted to do in terms of making our people, especially the poor, realize that gone are those days when we are telling them what needs to be done. The agencies have been so serious at reaching out. Of course, yung una pong panahon kasi talagang there may have been programs, but these were not being sustained. But in the case of the president, he had seen the gaps and the government agencies delivered well. And we hope that eventually this will be a thing that we can be proud of, making our people feel that under Executive Order number 70, the whole of nation approach is not something that is lip service. It is something that is felt on the ground and make the people, the surrenderers, feel that we are here, willing and able to accept them back.
Okay, sir. Sir, na-mention nyo kanina na one of the 5-point program ni Chief PNP, Debold Sinas, ay bukod sa war on drugs, yung inyong counter-terrorism. In today's issue of the Daily Tribune, the Chief PNP said that there was an intel breakdown in the Datu Piang incident. He said that government, I think the military, quote, sir, I think the military and the police both received intelligence reports about the attack. But the point is, according to Chief PNP, and everybody now knows, nobody shared these intel reports. But that's also why police, were ready to when the BIFF came. So, are you saying, sir, na yung Datu Piang daw talaga ay merong breakdown ng intel? And kung hindi daw naagapan ito, this could have led to another Marawi siege. Is that true, sir?
Well, that kind of conclusion was said during the press conference by the Directorate for Investigation, which actually chairs the Board of Inquiry. The director of the DIDM happens to be the one leading the supposed findings done by the representatives of the chief of the PNP, looking into what actually has happened. He mentioned this, some sort of what perhaps he and all other members of the BOI, the Board of Inquiry, got from people on the ground. But when you speak of intelligence gathering and intelligence sharing, it is always on real time. Perhaps over the last few months that this threat coming from the BIFF and all other splinter groups of Moro fronts may be operating in the different localities are actually being monitored well. However, during that time, we can say that the chief of police himself got that information right away. And because of this, they actually were able to herd the population up to the municipal hall of Datu Piang. Yung location po kasi ng municipal hall is a bit higher doon po kumpara sa actual area of engagement. So prior to the actual harassment that happened, the populace was already put into a safe condition. And as a result, the